Hello friends, today we are going to talk about Maven repositories. So what is Maven repository? Let's talk about that first. So as we all know, in Maven, we can specify dependencies. We can specify Spring dependency, or we can specify Apache common dependencies, or any other dependencies our company specific dependencies, which we want to use in our project. Now, the good thing about Maven is that you don't need to specify most of the times that where to fetch the dependencies. Sometimes you need to specify, but most of the times we don't need to specify whether from where you need to fetch your dependencies. So what it does is that first it goes to different repositories, which are mostly remote repositories, and it fetches the dependencies according to the coordinates that you have specified. So let's talk about different types of repositories we have. So currently in Maven, we have first repository is called Maven Central Repository. This is the URL of Maven Central Repository. So whenever you see a POM, or effective POM rather, then you will be able to see this central repository in all the effective POMs. Then there is a another type of repository, which I would say it's a cache of remote repository, which is a local repository. So whenever we build a project in our local system, then what our local system does, or what Maven does, is that create a local repository in the system in which the command is being run. So that is called local repository. We'll talk about local repository more in later slides. And after that, there is another type of repository called remote repository. So let me give you an example of remote repository. Is suppose I want to download something from Oracle's repository, which is proprietary to Oracle. Then I'll have to specify Oracle's repository somewhere in my either it should be in pom.xml, or it should be in settings.xml. And in some situations we need to specify our authentication information as well, like username and password, to authenticate when we have some private repositories, right? So let's talk about where and all these local repositories exist in different types of operating system. So if you talk about Windows, then mostly or generally, if you don't override it, then it will be in C users username, and it creates .m2 directory inside this your username folder. After that, in Linux, it is inside again home and username, which is your username, and m2 directory again it creates. And in Mac, similarly, slash users a username and .m2 directory. Now let's jump into the terminal. So in our last project, we had created a simple hello world project in IntelliJ IDEA. So one correction we can have here is that it generated the project in 1.7. So we can change it to 1.8, and we can remove this build part currently. So it is not needed. By default it will be coming. Now let's try building. So in IntelliJ IDEA also we can use terminal. So click on this tab and you'll get a terminal, or I can go to my terminal also, that is also fine. So I'll be either using this or my terminal. So let me you know first let me build this. So to build this project, I'll use Maven. mean install, and it will start building the project. So if you see, it is downloading few things from the central repository repo.maven.apache.org maven 2, this that we have already talked about, right? So it is downloading few things which it does not have currently in the local repository. Once it has downloaded it, it will cache it in my local system. So let's until it is building, let's go to my local repository and see what is happening over there. So if you see, I'm currently in my users directory right now. Let me run ls minus a. So if you see, I have this m2 directory already created. If you install Maven or run any build, then this directory will be created by default. You won't have to do anything for this. Now let me go inside this cd.m2. All right. And then if you see inside this, I have a directory named repository. Let's go inside this as well. After that, if you see, I have a lot of stuff over here. I have a few directories, right? And I have JUnit, log4j. What are these? So let me go inside JUnit. Here you can see, here I have 3.8.1, 3.8.2, and 4.1.4.11. Okay, and here you can see in my form.xml, I have specified 4.11. Okay, so what it has done is that it has downloaded this JUnit dependency from Maven's central repository, and it has added that into my local repository. So this 4.11 is this version. All right. After that, let me go inside this cd 4.11. Okay, now you can see here I have my JUnit jar, and this is the hash part to verify that whether I have downloaded the correct jar or not. And this is the pom.xml of JUnit. So if you see, this is my local repository where I have downloaded, or rather Maven has downloaded this jar, so that it won't have to download the jar every time I build the application. All right. After that, let me come here and let me clear this. Now let me show you, there is a command in Maven, or rather there is a plugin called Maven help, and in that we have one goal named effective POM. Now if I run this, let me run this, then let's see what happens. So again, it needs some information. So why it failed? Okay, I guess I made some mistakes. MVN help vector form. Let me run it again. All right. So this time it has run. Let me make it little bigger. And this is my effective POM. So in Maven inheritance lecture, I had talked about inheritance and how it is getting the different stuffs, different dependencies from super pom.xml. So here, if you see, I have this repository, and in this repository, you can see this repo.maven.apache.org is being referred for artifact repository, and for plugins also, again, same repository is being referred. So this way you can see that why and how it is able to figure out that which repository I need to go and fetch all the dependencies, right? Now let me show you one more command. Using that you can get to know, if you don't know how to figure out which is your local repository, then there is a command which in Maven help plugin, which you can use to figure out that which is your local repository. So let me show you that command, which is Maven help. Again, Maven help evaluate minus b, and you need to provide some expression to this, that what expression needs to be evaluated. So I would say expression equal to settings dot local repository, and I'll run this. So let's see what happens. Now, if you see, it has run this, plugin, or the goal of the plugin, and it has told me that this is your local repository, which is users, my username, and .m2.repository. So this way, if you are not aware of what is your local repository, then you can figure out using this, right? Now, suppose there is one more scenario that I want to, add one more repository, which is my company's repository, right? So, how to add that? Okay. So for that, let's move to where our Maven is installed, and there we can add our all our company's repository. So let me go to my installation where I have installed my Maven. So you can go to a place, and let's go to config, and here you can see I have one file named settings.xml. Let me open this settings.xml. So if you can see this file, it has a lot of stuff specified. And if you want to add a repository, then you need to go to below in the profile section, and you see there is a profile section, and you need to, here you see there is a already existing example of adding the repository. In this way, I'm also gonna add one new profile and another repository. So let me go to insert mode, and I'll add one profile tag. Inside profile, I need to add repositories. Now I need to provide an ID. So if you see here, the ID is there. So for my case also, I need to provide an ID. So let me, in this case, I'm gonna add, Spring repository, which is kind of public repository only, but we need to, refer it in our pom.xml. So Let me name it Spring repository, and let me add the URL. So if you see in this also, the URL has been added, the example. So I'll also add the URL. So the URL is repo.spring.io and /release. All right, I guess that's it. After that, we need to add one more thing, which is active profiles. Here inside active profiles, I need to add my profile, which I have created. So let me add active profile. I have named it as Spring repository. I guess that's it. Let me verify one more time that I didn't make any spelling mistakes. Spring repository. All right, there is a mistake over here. Instead of colon, I have put question mark. Repo.spring.io release. Yeah, I guess that's it. Let's save it. Now, if I go to my effective POM and see what is my effective POM, let me clear it and let me again run it, effective POM. All right, and let's see what comes. So our repository has not come. So let me go back and see if I did make any mistake over there. Repositories, REPQ, inside repository, then ID, URL, yeah, it looks fine to me. All right, now I got the issue. So I put the active profiles in the comment section. So let me profiles. Let me copy this from here and put it here. I guess now it should be fine. Let me save it and let's go back again and clear it. Let's run effective POM again, and this time here it is saying the requested profile Spring repository could not be activated because it does not exist. So I guess let me open it in Sublime Text and then let me see if I missed something. Profile repositories. All right, I've made this mistake. So profiles ID should be also given. This mistake I had made. Now let me go back to my IntelliJ IDEA. Let me clear it and let me run again. Effective POM. And let's see, this time it should have worked. All right. Now, if you can see, we have this Spring repository also added in our repository, right? So this way you can add any, remote repository into your pom.xml, or rather effective pom.xml. So we have added repository in our settings.xml. So thank you for watching. Keep listening or keep learning.